have found the Genesis frequency. This is Dr. Stephen J. Kosmyna welcoming you in to another episode of a show that focuses on your whole life prosperity and success. Whole life prosperity and success by cooperating with the universal laws that are available to each and every one of us. This is Quantum Leap Goal Achievement, radical personal transformation, whole life prosperity and success. Now, stay tuned for another exciting episode that'll move the needle in your life from where you are now to where you want to be.
And good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whatever time of day it may be, wherever you are in the world, when you hit that play button. So glad you did. This is Dr. Cause and Effect, Dr. Stephen J. Kosmyna coming at you with the Genesis Frequency podcast, now in our 8th year, a show all about personal development, professional development, leadership development, spiritual development, emotional development, all of the development to help us move from where we are to where we want to be, and do that by making quantum leaps. Really, by making quantum leaps, by taking information and embodying it and making it part of our very nature so that we become all that we want to be. And we're able to do all the things we want to do in a much shorter period of time than we would accomplish these things otherwise. So always want to preface this with saying, hey, wherever you are, if you feel you get to a certain point and you get stuck, or you're moving along really good, but you want to do everything in a more efficient, more effective way, reach out to me. And this is for you as an individual, an entrepreneur, a minister, a ministry, a small business owner, a company, a corporation, whether you're Fortune 50, Fortune 500, Fortune 5,000, small, medium, large, it doesn't matter, because we talk about development. And I do this work with all of the above. So reach out to me. Perhaps we bring in a program and start working with your team, your employees, or we just start working with you as an individual and getting some of the things knocked out that you really want to get knocked out, and accelerate the process is the word I was reaching for earlier. So let's dive in. We're in episode 2 here of really talking about soft skills, but I just never really liked that term, soft skills, I really didn't, because these are all elements of becoming a great leader and what we want to instill in those that we would lead as well. But make no mistake, whether you are considered a leader by others or even by yourself is not based upon how many people report to you, if any. Even if no one's reporting to you, you are a leader because you are leading your own life. You are leading your life professionally. You are leading your life personally. You are leading your life among your friends and families. I mean, we can all ask, hey, how am I leading? What is this life I am leading? Right? So leadership development encompasses all of that. But to become even a more effective and efficient leadership in our vocation or our professional life, we have to know, a lot of skills, different skills, so that we can become that servant leader that reaches out to others when somebody is looking up to us and say, hey, I can see the blind spots. Here's some of the things you should embody and should work on to help move you to the next level. So we keep talking about these things. And again, I encourage you to listen to these episodes, what I share, and listen to them over and over and over again and take notes. Perhaps even take these episodes into your workplace and share them with others. Share them as part of, maybe it's your time to share in the, you know, in the group huddle or the team huddle, or whatever you do when you're working on personal development, professional development in the workplace, and share these. And make no mistake that there's tremendous value here because you're getting it for free. In other words, most people put little or no value on that which they get for free. And that would be a terrible mistake because I don't really hold anything back and say, hey, you got to buy this to get it all. I don't do that. I deliver what has made a difference in my life. And yes, I can go deeper and deeper and deeper, but that's because of time constraints here within a podcast. So I have structured programs as a franchisee of Leadership Management International, as a certified Procter Gallagher consultant, and own materials that I've developed myself, and a catalog over well over 100 different workshops that I do as 1 day, 2 half day, that kind of thing, or 8 to 12 week programs. So reach out. Let's have a conversation about that. Go to successappointment.com to get on my calendar, and let's dive into today. Today, episode 2 in the soft skills series is I'm titling The Communication Advantage of Great Leaders. The communication advantage of great leaders. So, again, welcome back in. And we're going to continue to explore these principles of personal leadership, intentional living, and the inner power, really, because this is all about our inner power that allows us to create extraordinary results in life and in work, personally and professionally. So, in the last episode, I began this particular series on the human side of leadership, what the business world often calls soft skills, but what I prefer to call them are essential human skills. Because here's the truth: technical skill might get you the job, right? Now, you got some technical skills. Let's get them on. Let's get them on board, right? But people skills really determine how far you go. So today we're going to continue that conversation by exploring one of the most powerful advantages any leader can develop, and that is communication. I talk about it often. It's one of my specialties. I love communications and communication and all the different ways we can approach this to be more effective and efficient communicators. And communication is, it's not just speaking clearly. It's not just giving instructions, but it's the deeper ability really to connect with people, understand them, and create an environment where ideas, where trust and collaboration, where all of that flourish. Great leadership is not built on authority. Great leadership is built on communication. I think that's really important to know, and to move yourself to a place where you really want to deepen into this. It will serve you in so many ways in your life, personally and professionally. So let's talk about communication as the operating system of leadership, if you will. Every organization, I don't care what field, what industry you're in, solopreneur or Fortune 50, every organization runs on communication. Make no mistake about that. We are always out in the field observing the communication internally, externally, consumer facing, with each other in the workplace of organizations across a broad spectrum of industries. So make no mistake, every organization runs on communication, every relationship runs on communication, every team succeeds or fails based on communication. And here's something fascinating that many leadership studies confirm, and I look at a lot of leadership studies, a ton of leadership studies. So does my team, so does Leadership Management International, and they pass them on to us. Communication is not just about words. Research suggests that a significant portion of communication happens without words at all, through body language, tone, posture, eye contact, presence, and deepening into that, facial expressions, right? Think about that. That means the most powerful message a leader sends is often the message they are not even aware of sending. Leadership communication has several layers. What we say, right? How we say it, what we signal through our presence, how we carry ourselves, right? And how well we listen. So today we'll explore several key communication advantages that separate average leaders from great ones. Because if you're listening to the show, you want to be one of the great ones, right? In every area of your life. So this is really one of the forgotten leadership skills, listening. So let's start there. One of the most underestimated leadership abilities in the modern workplace, I believe, is listening. Really, pay attention. Notice what you're noticing around you, and you'll find this to be not only factual, but a very true statement. Listening. Most people think they're good listeners. They really think I'm a good listener. But in reality, most people listen only long enough to respond. All right. We hear words, but we don't truly receive the message. Right. True listening is what communication experts call active listening. Active listening means you are fully present. Fully present. You are not preparing your next answer. And that's what most people do. You are not interrupting. You are not mentally arguing. How often do we do this? Mentally arguing with what the other person is saying. You are listening to understand. And active listening involves some key points: giving someone your full attention, observing their body language, right? You're all in, reflecting back what you heard, and then asking clarifying questions. One powerful technique that you could adopt, take this away today in this message. One powerful technique is simply saying, let me understand, let me make sure I understand what you're saying. And then repeat the idea back to the person you're communicating with in your own words. And I'm telling you, this simple practice really does something remarkable. Number one, it tells the other person, I respect you enough to truly understand you, to make an attempt to understand you. And that builds trust faster than almost anything else a leader can do. Now, how about what your body is saying? And here's another thing that uh, many leaders overlook: nonverbal communication. Studies show that a large percentage of our communication happens through nonverbal signals like posture, gestures, facial expressions, and eye contact. You can say all the right words, but if your body language contradicts them, people will believe your body, not your words. Imagine a manager saying, I'm open to your ideas, but they're leaning back, arms crossed, staring at their laptop, maybe looking at their phone, right? What message does that individual or the team actually receive? What do they receive? Not openness, not interest, but really one of dismissal, right? And perhaps you've been on that receiving end of that. How did that make you feel? Great leaders become aware of their physical communication. They use an open posture, a relaxed presence, right? Not a condemning or condescending posture. It's a relaxed presence. They make eye contact. They're nodding all in while listening, right? To demonstrate that they're listening. And all these signals communicate something very powerful. Hey, I'm here with you. I'm in. I have a vested interest in what you have to say. Leadership presence is not about dominance. It's about approachability. And that's what you're doing here. You're setting yourself up. I mean, what is occurring? What's taking place in the mind of the individual that's seeking to efficiently, as best they can, right? We give a little grace here, right? But they're seeking to communicate with you. So by adopting all these practices, by being consciously aware of what we're doing as a great communicator, we're sending that message, hey, I'm approachable. And isn't that what we want? So so that helps develop the trust factor. It develops openness and honesty. Communication, man, it is also the foundation of that trust, right? And trust is, I guess we could call it the currency of leadership. People don't follow titles. They might for a little while through the motivation of fear, right? But that's not what we want to do. That doesn't get us anywhere, and it's not lasting. People follow trustworthy people. Yeah, I can trust her. I can trust him. One of the fastest ways to erode trust in a team is through unclear or dishonest communication. Remember that. When leaders withhold information unnecessarily, when they avoid difficult conversations, when they hide mistakes, trust, all of the above, trust slowly disappears. Trust me on this one. Trust slowly disappears. It really does. But when leaders communicate openly and honestly, even when situations are difficult, and they're going to be those situations, well, something different happens. Communicating openly and honestly. Something different happens. Trust grows. Transparency tells people, hey, we're in this together. All right, here's what we're up against. Here's what's going on. We're in this together. Open communication doesn't mean sharing everything. You don't have to share every last detail, but it does mean being truthful, respectful, and clear about what matters. When communication is honest, teams become stronger. When communication is guarded or defensive, teams become cautious with good reason and they become disengaged. And so let's look at communication and the team roles that we're involved with. Now, let's expand this a little bit here and talk about team collaboration because communication is not just about conversations; it's about clarity, as I've been alluding to. Clarity. One of the biggest causes of frustration on teams is unclear roles. Right? Who's doing what? People don't know who's responsible for what. It's got to be communicated, right? Where their authority begins and ends as somebody participating in this particular team, right? How far can they go? Where does it start? Where does it stop? Who picks up from there? Who's responsible, right? Knowing all this, what others expect from them. What are others expecting from me? Effective teams solve this through what? Communication. And great leaders help team members understand their role, their strengths, their responsibilities, and how their work contributes to the larger mission and the objective, the overarching goal, right? Here's what your role is. Here's what I see. Here's how I see you striving and contributing in the way that is unique to you. And we communicate that. When people know where they fit, something powerful happens. They begin to take ownership. They really do. Remember this when you're working with, I work with a lot of ministries and nonprofits where we deal with a lot of volunteers. They begin to take ownership. So remember this. And we want that ownership is really important. They own it. right? They own the task at hand, or at least their involvement as a team member on what the team has been charged with accomplishing. And that ownership creates engagement. So we're moving all of this into our field of awareness through this brief podcast today. And of course, we can go deeper. I would love to do a day-long workshop with you, which are very reasonable price, by the way. So reach out for me on that. But we want to understand the whole system. That's the objective here within the podcast. And this is a powerful leadership habit for you, and that's encouraging team members to understand the entire process, right? Not just, we want clarity around their individual tasks, but not understanding just that, right? What's the big picture here? Many employees become isolated within their own responsibility. And I understand, and everybody's got their own personalities. Some are the outgoing, the analyticals, and some are the enablers, and some are the comforters, and some are the peacemakers. I know all that, and we don't want anybody to become isolated with just their own responsibilities. We want to take in all those things. Some people that they do their job, but they don't understand how their work really connects with others and connects to the overarching objective. When people understand the whole system, no matter their personality type, collaboration improves dramatically from wherever they are on the personality spectrum. And why is that? Well, because they see the bigger picture, and it becomes they're moving themselves to a place of clarity, seeing how they fit. Yeah, I'm an analytical, but okay, this is where we want to go. So beyond the scope of what I've been charged with, I can contribute in this way, and I can communicate that and maybe expand my responsibility within this project, right? And then they, what also happens too is they understand how delays, maybe on their end, in their body of work, how delays affect others. So that's why this is critically important. They understand how their work supports the entire team's success, and they begin helping each other rather than working isolated, or just themselves in isolation. Communication makes that possible. See how it's this thread that binds everything together? So let's talk a little bit about the power of flow, because it's one of the most powerful productivity states human beings can experience. And I'm probably sharing too much in this episode. I know we're getting to where I like to end, but let's talk about this just for a moment. And and psychologists call it flow. Flow is really the mental state where we become completely immersed in what we're doing, and it's coming naturally. The work's coming out, the production's coming out, our performance it up. We're in flow, and when we're in flow, I'm telling you, focus increases, and I love being in this state. Focus increases, productivity rises, creativity expands, time seems to move faster, and sometimes I really love that. Sometimes I don't, but it does. I mean, it really seems that way. And teams, not just individual teams, experience flow when several conditions exist. When the goals are clear, when each role is clear, where there's clarity, where there's strong communication, where there's minimal interruptions, and and where there's work that matches people's abilities and strength. You remember that? That's part of our leadership responsibility. Okay, man, Johnson's really good over here. Okay, Smith's really good in this area, right? Where it matches. And when leaders help create this environment, teams begin to operate. Man, I'm telling you, and I see this, and I facilitate this, and we install this through the programs that we do and the workshops we do. And when you help create this environment, man, it just teams begin to operate at a completely different level. It really is. It's like all the teams are on steroids. So work becomes less stressful, which is how we want it to be. This is the state of flow. Productivity increases. That's what I specialize in, by the way, performance and productivity and priority management, managing the time that we have on our hands. And people actually, when we put this in place, people actually enjoy what they're doing. Imagine that, right? They're not dreading showing up every day. Flow is not just a personal state. It can be, but it's beautiful when it can become an actual team culture because now we're expanding, we're radiating from that flow. It's overflowing and it becomes culture. It becomes the team's culture, and that can overflow into and impact and influence corporate culture. This is how it works. So let's look at this because I always like to leave you with application and action for your own situation. Let's look at some practical leadership applications and actions you can put in place now. So so you're right. Okay, how can we take this? You covered a lot. You're all over the place today, right? We want to move to a place of clarity. How can leaders apply these ideas immediately? Let me give you a few practical actions you can begin using right away. First, practice active listening. And I have more podcast episodes on this. Just go to my website, go directly there, thegenesisfrequency.com, and use the search function and just click on communication or type in listening, active listening, all that. And my episodes that focus on that will come up for you. Or reach out to me and we'll bring this to the workplace. The next time someone brings you a concern or idea, just slow down. All right. This is active listening. Slow down. Listen fully, all the way in, front to finish. Reflect back what you heard, as I described, and then you'll be surprised how powerful this is. All right. So that's one, practice active listening. Second, I recommend become aware of your body language. Most people are not aware of this, right? They're still looking at their phone. That's what we do. That's the habit that has taken over, and maybe we don't even realize it. Maybe it's something different from you. Maybe you're chewing your nails, biting your cheek. I don't know. Become aware of your body language. Are you signaling openness or impatient? All right. They can tell if you're inside mentally arguing, agreeing, or listening, right? So become aware of your body language and what you're signaling. Your team is always reading these signals. And number three, communicate roles clearly. Ambiguity creates confusion. So you don't want to be that person. You want that clarity that creates confidence. All right. Here's your role. Here's how I see this. Here's how I see you contributing. Here's the overarching goal. Here's the objective. Fourth, encourage understanding of the full process. Encourage the team member you're communicating with to repeat that back to you like you just did with them. Okay, I'm hearing you. Let me get this right. So what you're saying, so I'm fully understanding here. Encourage them to do that as well because we're all teachers, we're all students. So encourage, okay, are you picking up what I'm throwing down type of thing, right? So we want to encourage understanding of the full process, help team members see how their work connects to others. This builds cooperation. And then finally, fifth, really, protect focus time. What does this mean? Create periods where your team can work without interruptions. It really helps get into that flow state. Okay. We're going to take this block of time. All right. You're contributing to the overall planning, right? I'm a big planner. I'm a big strategist. How are we going to accomplish? How are we going to move from point A to point B? How are we going to get there? Create those periods. A team work without interrupt. Okay, no interruptions. Nobody's getting interrupted. It's everybody focus. Marathon session coming up here. That's where flow and great work happens. So we've gone on along, I've thrown a lot at you. We're going to come back with part three. So we're going to continue in this, but let me leave you with this. Leadership is not, and I can't stress this enough. I do in almost every episode. Leadership is not primarily about control. Leadership is about connection. Communication makes it happen, and connection happens through communication. So we're saying it just another way, right? When leaders listen deeply, communicate honestly, clarify roles, and create environments of trust, I'm telling you, something powerful happens. Teams begin to move together. It's a beautiful thing as a unit, individually and as a whole. I mean, people feel valued, ideas expand, people know they're being heard, and organizations become far more productive. That's why I love doing this work I do. I prove it to you because we document it along the way. Performance and productivity increases. I guarantee it. All right. So this is a byproduct because we're impacting at the level of behavior. And here, the communication advantage alone, communication advantage of great leaders is not. You have to know it's not. It's not simply speaking well. It's all of this. It's helping people feel heard, respected, and aligned with a shared purpose. And that's what we want, isn't it? Isn't that what we all want? We're here because we're driven by the purpose. Because our purpose contains our why. Hopefully it does, or maybe you need a different line of work or vocation or a different purpose, right? Or a different objective. We can work on all that. And when we have all these things lined up, great things really begin to unfold. And for this episode, that's going to do it. Thank you for joining me. I love doing this. I love doing this in person. I love taking this to the workplace. I love taking you under my wing so I can help show you your blind spots. So reach out. Let's work together. Let's do this. This is not what you see on social media, some outrageously priced programs that I have so many of them that are economical in every way, shape, or form. The key is about getting you results, and that's what I'm most interested in, sharing this information that I'm passionate about, getting you results for you and your organization. Let's talk again. That's successappointment.com. My calendar opening up in your time zone. And remember, in our next episode, we're going to explore the next stage of all this. And that's, the next stage of leadership development, how great leaders cultivate problem solving ability. Because they're going to come up, right? We'll talk about problem solving ability. We'll talk about adaptability, confidence, and that continuous growth because we want to sustain this and do this model over and over again. So until next time, keep leading, keep growing, and remember, the frequency, it's be, do, have, right? We got to be it. So the frequency you hold internally, the beingness, always shapes the result you create externally. So that's going to do it. We'll see you in the next episode. This is Dr. Cause and Effect, Dr. Stephen J. Kosmyna, and I wish for you an infinitely spectacular day.